Tomorrow night on NXT, Charlotte Flair is going to be showing up. Rhea Ripley showed up on Raw last night to challenge Charlotte Flair for the NXT Championship at WrestleMania. Charlotte Flair kind of walked away and didn't say anything. She's going to be accepting or denying her challenge on NXT. They announced this in advance for a reason. So, guys who watch Raw and SmackDown can watch NXT to see what Charlotte Flair has to say. It's pretty important. This could be the WrestleMania match being set up here on NXT television. And my immediate knee-jerk reaction was, no, leave my NXT alone. I don't want to see Charlotte Flair on NXT. I already seen enough Raw and SmackDown guys on NXT during Survivor Series weekend. I don't care to see any more Raw and SmackDown guys on NXT. Leave NXT as its own entity. But then I went to sleep, and I woke up this morning, and I had this question. Why are people not watching NXT? And I don't mean that in a sarcastic way, and I don't mean that in a way that's like, oh my god, why are people not watching this great, amazing show over AEW? I don't mean it in that sense. I woke up this morning, and I'm preparing myself for Wednesday night, because as you guys may or may not know, I stream every Wednesday night, my live reactions to AEW and NXT. And every Wednesday, I sit down, I watch both shows, and I either do one of two things. Either I'm watching AEW on my television, and I have NXT on my phone, or I have NXT on my television and AEW on my phone. More often than not, since the last 3 months that this war has been going on, it's been AEW on my television. Now, within the last, I would say, few weeks, I've been having NXT on my TV a little bit more, because I feel like I've been more enticed by NXT. But one viewer doesn't make the whole show, right? And neither does a bunch of viewers. But it seems like this whole Wednesday Night War thing is contingent on the ratings. People care about the ratings. I mean, now me personally, I don't really care all that much about it. You don't see me on Twitter, on YouTube talking about, oh, here's the ratings for this. Like, I don't really care all that much. A lot of people do. I don't really care. But today, I kind of wanted to retrospectively look back on what NXT's been doing in the last few months leading up to this point. We're entering a new year, 2020. So if you want to even say the Wednesday Night War has kind of started now, then you could say that. And that the 2 months of, October, November, December, the 3 months of what we've got from AEW and NXT have been kind of preliminary, then you can say that. But looking back in September, when NXT first started airing on USA television. Now, remember, guys, when AEW announced their TV deal with TNT, shortly after, NXT was announced to be on USA Network. And they were announced to start 2 weeks earlier than AEW. They wanted to get the jump. They didn't say that, but of course we know they wanted to get the jump on them. When these two shows first started, I firmly believe, if you ask me personally, I believe these were two of the best episodes of NXT, especially the first episode, that September 18th episode of NXT. And I'm talking about the episode where you have to watch NXT on USA Network 8 p.m. and then switch over to the WWE Network at 9 p.m. Those were the two best episodes of NXT I believe we've had so far. They've been some really good episodes of NXT. There's been some great episodes of NXT. But there's something about those two episodes that just felt really, really special. And I know for a fact it's because they want to entice the audience and get that grasp on everybody ahead of AEW's television debut. And both of those shows clocked in at 1 million viewers. The September 18th edition did 1,179,000 viewers. And the September 25th episode did a total of 1,006,000 viewers. Now, I'm not going to look at the demos because I don't give a fuck about the demos. But we then go into October 2nd, which was the debut of AEW. And everyone was looking forward to this. Everybody wanted to see what was going to happen with this new hot show. 1,400,000 people tuned in to AEW. And 891,000 people tuned into NXT that night. That is a whole 200,000 drop off from the week before. And 300,000, nearly, from the first week that they went on USA Network. And it's not a huge drop off, But it is pretty dazzling to see that on the first episode of Wednesday Night Wars, not many people were trying to watch both shows. A lot of people really had their focus on AEW. Now, for the next 3 weeks for AEW, October 9th and October 16th, they cracked 1 million viewers, but dipping below each time. I mean, on October 2nd, they did 1,400,000, but on October 9th, they went all the way down to 1,020,000. That's almost a 400,000 viewer drop off. So you had a lot of people who were just dipping their toe in the water and experimenting with AEW. And as you would guess, every show's biggest viewership usually is in the first episode when everyone's curiosity is peaking. You know what I mean? So they dipped off. October 23rd, they started to dip to the 100,000s. And they never went back to 1 million cents. We've been nearing it with AEW, but they never really got back to that point. With NXT, the numbers just kind of got lower and lower and lower up until that point. The only time it really peaked back up for NXT was around November when Survivor Series was happening. When you saw Raw and SmackDown guys competing against NXT guys. Because NXT was invading Raw and SmackDown. They were getting much more exposure than they were before. So the numbers went from 580,000, which is the lowest number they've ever done, on October 30th, to 813,000 on November 6th. And I think that might have been the week where I think NXT invaded SmackDown because of the blizzard or whatever the hell happened, that the SmackDown guys couldn't show up. It was Saudi Arabia, I think. That was the week where they did 813,000, but even then, AEW beat them out with 822,000. Which isn't huge, but they still beat them out. Then the week after, November 13th, AEW did 957,000 viewers, which is the closest they've done to 1 million in a while. And NXT dipped right back down to 750,000. Then a week after, AEW did 893,000. And NXT went to 916,000 viewers. This is the first time that NXT has even beaten AEW in the Wednesday Night Wars. Now, we have to go into how and why did they beat AEW that week. Well, if you look at the episode of NXT on November 20th, you will see that this was the episode when Raw and SmackDown guys kind of invaded NXT. I mean, think about it. We've had a match like Matt Riddle versus Ricochet. The NXT Tag Team Championships were defended. It was the Revival versus Undisputed Era. The Viking Raiders went up against the Forgotten Sons. It was a night where we saw a lot of Raw and SmackDown guys on NXT, whether they were competing or not. I mean, we even got Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley. The Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley. It was a night that really anybody could miss. Whether you watched NXT or not. The fact of seeing these Raw and SmackDown guys invading this show that a lot of them were on previously was just really enticing. And I'm not going to lie, as a person who I can't really even say is emotionally invested in anything that a lot of these main roster guys do, I was even more turned into NXT than I was AEW that night. But then let's go on from November 20th. The week after, on November 27th, we had AEW come in with 663,000 viewers, and NXT came in with 810,000 viewers. Now, this was after Survivor Series. NXT basically triumphed. They didn't wipe the floor with Raw and SmackDown, but they did a really good job in performances, and they won the entire war that night between brands. So it was kind of expected that maybe we converted some viewers who watched Raw and SmackDown, maybe didn't check out NXT, into NXT fans. So we thought. Then a week after, AEW came back up 200,000 viewers higher with 851,000 viewers, and NXT came in with 845,000 viewers. Now, NXT did better than the week before, but AEW came back with 200,000 viewers more and beat them. Beat them by just a smidgen. The week after, both shows tied for the very first time at 778,000 viewers, which is bad because both shows dipped, but very interesting considering that both shows tied with each other. Now, if you are interested in how the 18 to 49 demos do, AEW won, so technically you could say AEW won that week, but I don't really care about that. December 18th, AEW did one of its lowest numbers since November 27th, 683,000 viewers, and NXT beat them, 795,000 viewers. Now, this was the episode of NXT where they packed that show to the brim with matches. Adam Cole versus Finn Balor. You had Kushida versus Cameron Grimes. They've had a little feud going on there, so that was climaxing. You had NXT Women's Championship match between Shayna Baszler and Rhea Ripley, which saw Shayna Baszler lose the title that she held for a year, almost over a year, I believe. Rhea Ripley beat her for that championship. That was a very stacked episode of NXT. So I would say deservedly so, they beat out AEW that week. Then on December 25th, the week where AEW didn't even have a TV show running, NXT beat them out. But I don't think we should even count that because AEW didn't run TV that week. Apparently 831,000 people watching Wrestling Christmas Day because that's the NXT number. That basically was the ratings for 2019. Out of the 15 weeks NXT and AEW went head to head in 2019, 12 weeks out of that year, AEW beat out NXT. We're only 1 month into 2020, but in those 4 weeks of January, AEW still managed to beat out NXT all 4 times. And in the 3 weeks that NXT beat out AEW, 2 of those weeks featured Raw and SmackDown guys in some way, shape, or form. So when we think about why NXT might not be winning the war, is it because that they need the help from guys who are having ratings like 2 million viewers? Is that the reason? Or is it something deeper than that? I mean, there's so many other weeks in the year where we're not going to see NXT guys on Raw and SmackDown. We're not going to see Raw and SmackDown guys on NXT. So are you telling me that for the rest of the year, that's not Survivor Series or any other major pay-per-view, that AEW is going to beat out NXT? What does NXT have to do in order to beat out AEW for the remainder of 2020? What exactly is not enticing people to watch NXT? That's the question I want to know the most. Do I want NXT to beat out AEW? Not exactly. Do I want AEW to beat out NXT? I mean, I don't really care who wins. I just want some good wrestling. But I'm just really want to know, how is there 2 million people watching Raw and SmackDown every single week? And there are a lot of people who go on Twitter, go on Facebook, go on YouTube, and they complain and they complain and they complain about just how garbage and trash and just how disrespectful to their mindset and to their viewership that Raw and SmackDown is to them. But then, for whatever reason, NXT doesn't even crack 1 million each week. Which tells me there's a lot of those fans who might be watching Raw and SmackDown and complaining, but then they don't even take the liberty to watch NXT. Now, I understand people have jobs and people have lives, but for the people who are watching this video, because I'm going to do a part 2 to this video. This isn't over. I want to do another video going a little bit more in depth on why I think that's the case. But I want to do more of a case study. So, for all the people watching this video, if you have time in your day, I want you to comment down below. If you only watch AEW, for people who only watch AEW Dynamite, or people who don't watch NXT at all, why do you not watch NXT? I'm really genuinely want to know, what about NXT is not drawing you in? Is it because AEW Dynamite is on and you don't care to watch 2 shows at the same time? Is it because Raw and SmackDown is offering you something that NXT is not? Or do you just have no interest in watching NXT? Comment down below, let me know. Hey, did you enjoy that clip? I know I did. Well, there's plenty of more where that came from. I stream on this very channel every Wednesday, 8 to 10 p.m. for my live reactions to WWE NXT and All Elite Wrestling Dynamite. For more clips like this, discussions about AEW, NXT, New Japan, and Stardom, subscribe to the Tyler Coop Williams channel. Peace out, guys.